What is happening in Brazil, where the world's fourth largest democracy, it appears, has swung in a very decisive manner to the right. Jair Bolsonaro, individual who has in fact often been compared with Donald Trump for his worldviews, has, because of his comments against women, gays and also racial minorities, and his stand against political opponents, has won the presidential election in Brazil. He secured 55% of the votes against 45% for the leftist Fernando Haddad. Now, Trump has also been pretty quick in congratulating Bolsonaro on his victory. Bolsonaro's promise to eradicate corruption and bring down the crime graph have found support amongst voters who are fed up with a string of graft scandals and also the country's worst ever recession that was seen in recent years. Now, hundreds of Bolsonaro supporters kicked off the celebrations outside of his residence in Rio de Janeiro as news of his victory came in. Now, the supporters set off firecrackers and also honked cars to mark the moment. A former army captain, 63-year-old Bolsonaro remains a deeply divisive figure in his country because of the positions that he has taken on several important issues. But he was stabbed during the campaign rally last month, and this is reported to have gained him a lot of sympathy. He was not originally the front runner in these elections. The front runner was in fact disqualified in the last moment, Luis Ignacio, and he had to step aside, and Fernando Haddad was a person who was brought in at the last minute. Now, in his victory speech, Jair Bolsonaro has vowed to work for all sections of the society.
Faço de vocês minhas testemunhas de que esse governo será defensor da Constituição, da democracia e da liberdade. Isso é uma promessa, não de partido. Não é a palavra vã de homem, é juramento a Deus.
Now, there are worries, however, that Brazil may witness a curtailment of civil liberties and restriction from the press under Luis Jair Bolsonaro, as he has defended the military dictatorship of the past as well as the use of torture on leftist opponents. The protesters hit the streets soon after the election results were out. And also the riot police had to be deployed to maintain public order. Jair Bolsonaro's victory in Brazil's presidential elections places a man with a bend towards military dictatorship at the helm of affairs in Latin America's largest democracy. But Bolsonaro's ascent does not come as a surprise. Now, Bolsonaro's emergence was the convergence of several different factors within Brazil. Now, more than 12% of Brazilians are, in fact, at this point of time, jobless. The economy is still struggling to recover from a seismic recession that has dragged for more than 2 years before officially ending in 2017. Now, violence has surged in many parts of Brazil, which is home to 7 of the world's 20 most violent cities. And since 2014, more than 150 Brazilian business leaders, corporations and politicians have been prosecuted in a huge corruption scandal which has slashed public faith in democracy and also the country's political leadership. Now, cashing in on the crisis, Jair Bolsonaro has identified with this move against corrupt politicians. Brazil's next president has also tapped into the widespread discontent in the economy and amongst the political elites. He's also played on fundamental fears about security amidst widespread violent crime, and Bolsonaro, who was a former army captain, has pledged to tackle the security crisis by militarizing the police, cracking down on criminal offenders by allowing police officers greater freedom, not just to arrest but also to kill, and loosening the public gun laws. The Bolsonaro has also laced his campaign with anti-China rhetoric. He has said that Chinese companies are in fact acquiring rare concessions that would shunt Brazilian companies out of the mining business. So we can expect now to see a weakening of the Chinese influence in Brazil. However, Bolsonaro's brazen political stand has also cost him. He was stabbed. Now, this is what had happened just 3 weeks ahead of the presidential polls in the city of Juiz de Fora. And this, of course, just came after promising to execute his opponents if he won. His suspected assailant had told the authorities that he had been ordered by God to carry out that attack on Jair Bolsonaro.